Listen to this. Newsweek magazine's latest issue is it's a piece bashing the Bible. You can see the cover there. The cover declaring the Bible so misunderstood, it's a sin. The article starts out saying, quote, they fall on their knees worshiping at the base of granite monuments to the Ten Commandments while demanding prayer in school. They gather in football stadiums by the thousands to pray for the country's salvation. They are God's frauds, cafeteria Christians. Well, our next guest took that author to task over Twitter. Fox News contributor Eric Erickson joins us now. Hey, Eric, good to see you.
Good to see you. Happy New Year.
Thank you. To you, too. Let's start out by, first, let's talk about what's wrong with the article. How do you think the author got it wrong?
Well, there are basic factual errors in there. For example, he doesn't add any rebuttals. He takes liberals, a lot of non-Christians, to make points about the Bible without any orthodox rebuttals from Christians. But, for example, he misstates the number of transcripts of the New Testament or number of translations of the New Testament in the early church. He gets wrong when the New Testament was compiled. Just a lot of basic factual errors that he makes. And when people called him out on this, he said they were misreading him, which is deeply hilarious considering his misreading of the Bible.
All right, yeah, I want to ask you about that because I know you've been talking with him over Twitter. What did you say to him and what was his response?
Well, I told him he was misreading it, that he was flat out wrong about a number of things and actually cited other people. And so his response was to ask me how what I do for a living wasn't a violation of Romans 13, which is the be loyal to the government and don't rebel. In other words, my job in being a pundit making criticism of the government was somehow a sin, according to him, it seemed, which is, again, a complete misreading of the Bible.
He says that he calls Christians God's frauds and cafeteria Christians. Did he explain what he means by that? What is a cafeteria Christian?
Yeah, people who think they know what the Bible says and they really don't. And basically what he did is he took, as one example, the various Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And well, some of them talk about Jesus being born in a manger. Mark doesn't talk about his birth at all. So somehow they were different accounts as opposed to the Orthodox Christian view. They were writing to different audiences and leaving out facts already known and in position. You know, by the way, it's deeply ironic, I think, that a magazine that couldn't keep itself in print is lashing out against the book most widely printed in human history.
That's interesting. You talk about the factual errors. Let me read you this. This is part of the article so that folks at home can hear this. Complete factual error here. No television preacher has ever read the Bible. Neither has any evangelical politician. Neither has the Pope. Neither have I, and neither have you. At best, we've all read a bad translation, a translation of translations of translations of hand-copied copies. What's your reaction?
You know, that's actually one of the telling points on why so many people have come to believe the Bible, because he's right that it is a translation of a translation of a translation. But we have translations that go back 3,000 years, and they're all the same. Over the last 3,000 years, there have been minor errors in the translations, but they haven't impacted the context, they haven't impacted the meaning, they haven't impacted the words. It is a remarkably consistent tradition over several thousand years of translating the Bible. So for him to say we don't know what the Bible is, actually, given the consistency, we're pretty sure we do know what it says.
Yeah, and how many ministers have you? I've heard so many preach,
right.
And I know that they have read the Bible. There are even classes at many churches where you can
I'm
read
in
the
a
Bible
seminary
in a year.
right now. Yes, exactly. I'm taking seminary classes right now, and in my very first class in seminary, many of these questions were answered, and it looks like he never bothered to even reach out and get someone's opinion, other than people who already agree with him. It's very funny. When you go into something wanting to disprove it, guess what you're probably going to do when you don't talk to people who might rebut you?
So what do you do in this situation? Because now that you're in seminary, I'd like to ask you, how do Christians face people who don't believe in God in the new year? What's some advice? Because you don't want to turn them away from God, but how do you love them? And how do you have honest conversations with them?
Well, no anger. At the same time, keep in mind Christ's statement about pearls before swine. There are some people who just don't want to know. They want to disregard and undermine the faith. And I get the sense from this Newsweek article that this wasn't written to honestly engage Christians. It was written to buttress those who have turned against the church and don't like Christians and want to give them ammunition. So I would say my lesson to pastors and to people in churches, you need to actually understand the facts of your faith. Not just going into church on Sunday and hearing a message from the Bible, but you need to begin to understand, how is the Bible composed? Where did it come from? Who wrote it? And why are these seemingly contradictory things not contradictory? There are easy answers to those questions. We, as Christians, should learn them.
All right. Thank you so much. Good to see you, Eric. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Thanks.